Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co-host, Tracy Kawa, who's a community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur. Tracy, we have a very special guest that I haven't had a chance to talk to in a few years, Amy Addington. Amy was originally a dog walker from Ashburn, Virginia. She co-founded Woofie's, the only franchise in the professional pet care industry to provide the combined services of pet sitting, dog walking, and mobile pet grooming spa. In 2004, and since then, she's been committed to revolutionizing and elevating the pet pampering experience. What started with a pet sitting and dog walking has evolved into a nationwide, multi-unit, multi-million dollar pet care service with 50 plus franchises and 10 grooming vans nationwide. Amy has built a fulfilling and profitable business over the past 20 years. She encourages women like herself to start their own companies and do more of what they love. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rebecca and Tracy. I'm so happy to be here. And Rebecca, it's great to see you again.
It's
A lot
good
has
to see you,
happened in the
sweetheart.
last
I
few
missed
years.
you.
I know, I miss you too. I'm glad to see you again.
So, Amy, offline, you were mentioning to me and Rebecca that you have this competitive spirit. I'm sure you too, Rebecca, would love to know, where did you get that competitive spirit from? How did this happen?
I have had that from day one, I think. I have two older brothers who, from an early age, set the bar very high. They excelled in sports and school, just all around really incredible guys, great older brothers, and really great role models for me. But I, of course, always wanted to not only keep up, but hopefully exceed what they were doing. So it was great to have them as having them as older brothers, but especially as a young girl, you have to be tough when you're hanging out with the boys, and they really set the bar high, and I love that. To this day, we have a great, healthy competition with each other.
Oh, that's hilarious. So this was in sports. What about education and business? Did you feel competitive with them in those areas too?
Absolutely. We all played soccer, so definitely had a healthy competitive spirit there. But with school too, my entire family went to Notre Dame. My dad went to Notre Dame. My mom went to St. Mary's, which is where they met. And my two older brothers went to Notre Dame. One went on to be an investment banker. One was a doctor. And so when the time came, I was looking at Notre Dame and Boston College, and I would have loved Boston College, I'm sure, as well. It would have been a great town to be in. But my heart was at Notre Dame. It just kind of felt part of the family, but also, I think it kind of goes into that competitive spirit. So and it really has driven us to this day. I mean, both of my brothers are extremely accomplished, and so always kind of keeps you on your toes. So.
Wow, two older brothers that are very accomplished. I guess you felt the pressure on and off throughout the years, right?
Absolutely. A good pressure. I love it.
A healthy tension.
Very healthy. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So then after college, did you go into corporate America? Did you just decide to become an entrepreneur? What happened after that?
I always loved the idea of being an entrepreneur. I always gravitated towards articles about people that started businesses. I loved hearing their stories. But I was in corporate. I was in telecom and tech for about 12 years. I was in Silicon Valley near the end of the .com. So that was a pretty cool time to be there. And I'm really glad I did corporate, but I was really glad to leave corporate and do my own thing. But I kind of look at everything like a foundation and a stepping stone. And I look at my time in corporate. I gained a lot of experience in different parts of the business. But I think I also really learned what I don't like and what I want more for me and what I want to build and what's important to me. And also doing something that I'm really passionate about, and something ever since a little girl, I was always passionate about animals. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. So being able to take corporate experience, start something new, combined with having that passion for what you're doing. I just feel very lucky that my journey's kind of taken me in that direction.
I think you're so blessed to be literally building a business around your passion for animals. So in Woofie's, is that a requirement for our franchisees to have that same level of passion to adore and love these four-legged creatures that give us so much love back? So tell me more about your franchisees and their passions. Are they similar?
Absolutely. And I feel very blessed. We have an amazing group of franchise owners. They come from all different backgrounds. We have people that are early on in their career. We have people that are moving into that next chapter, a second career, leaving corporate behind. So they all come with a different background, different lens of looking at Woofies, which I love. I think that's one of the best parts of being part of a franchise system. But we do have that shared passion for animals, and I think you really need to have that. I mean, this is such a hyper local, highly personalized business, and people are entrusting you with their home and with the care of their pets. And if you are passionate and genuine, that comes through. And I think that's where the customers trust you, and they trust your company, and they know what you're all about. And, so we have that shared passion for animals. And, I think also when we look at it, you really have to also have that desire to be part of your community. This is a very externally focused business. You've got to be out in your community. People have to know who you are, what your company is all about, to earn that trust, to hand the keys over to your house and to care for your pets. So yeah, there's so many common denominators between the passion, the part of the community, giving back, is an amazing part, working with the animal shelters and rescue groups. But all of that is not enough. You really have to bring that business acumen as well, because you are building a business. This is not a hobby or a cute side gig. Let's go play with puppies. It is so much more than that, such an incredible responsibility to have in the best way. So I think having that blend of passion, community, giving back, and the business operations piece of it is so important.
I think you raised a really good point.
I'm sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
I just think you raise a really great point about it's not a hobby. Like what is the perception or the expectation that people actually have about, this passion-fueled animal loving business, right? It seems like it could be perceived as a hobby. But what is that expectation or perception?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think it's evolved over the years quite a bit. I know when Leslie Barron and I started, we lived across the street from each other, so we were neighbors and friends, and we quit our corporate jobs because we saw firsthand as pet owners that there was a need for pet services, because we had both had bad experiences in our quest for trying to find care for our pets. And so when we started, I can't count how many people kind of looked at us and laughed or said, "Oh, that's really cute. You're starting a pet business. Now, what are you doing for your real job?" And, and when we did begin, I mean, it was just the two of us, and we were walking dogs and doing the pet sitting. And gradually we built our team of pet sitters and started building up the business. And then when we added in the mobile grooming and people started seeing our vans driving around, I think people really started realizing that this is a business. This is not something that we're just doing on the side. So I think in general, the consumers are much more educated about pet services and pet care from a consumer standpoint. We love our pets. They're our babies. They're members of our family. And we have high expectations. If we're giving somebody keys to our house and asking them to take care of our pets, we expect a lot, and they should. And I think, from a consumer standpoint, there's been a lot of changes over the years where people understand this is a business. And I think also, though, from a career standpoint, again, I'm going back 20 years ago, I don't think a lot of pet lovers maybe realize you could have a career in a pet sitting or a grooming company. And that's something that's been a big part of Woofie's. We encourage that career growth and bring good people in who love animals and show them that if they want it, there's so much opportunity to build a career in a pet company. So that's something that's been really important to us over the last few decades. And I think it's changed perception of the pet industry over time. I think people have a better understanding of it and what it's all about.
I totally agree. If people understood the money we spend on our pets and the industry as a whole and how profitable it can be. But I think the thing that you really have done well over the years is changing that perception. It's not just something cute. It's not just something that's just a passion. It is something where it can become a purpose. It can become making a difference for those families and those animals and the community. It is something that can turn into profits. So you've changed the perception in the pet space. And people are excited that they can bring that passion into something. So I have a question for you. This is a little bit off the wall, Amy. And because you've had a very rich life and you've had incredible people around you, when you look back over your life, do you see any themes along with this competitive theme that you have that runs through your life?
I think it's one thing I've was taught, I think, at an early age from my dad is also just kind of surrounding yourself with very good, strong, genuine people. And that's something that I did at an early age as I was going through my business career in corporate, but then most importantly, building Woofies. I think that's a theme that has stayed with me. And I think it's what drives me as we build our franchise system is to bring on really amazing owners who are going to help elevate the overall Woofie's brand, who's going to help elevate the overall pet industry and the perception of it, who's going to encourage career opportunities, who's going to be part of their community. I think that is something that drives me personally so much is to surround yourself with really good people. And I think that's so important.
So, Amy, do you see yourself as a pioneer or a visionary?
I don't. I mean, I think when Leslie and I first started, it just was, it started out of a need that we saw. And I always tell people we didn't invent the concept of dog walking or pet sitting, but we wanted to do it differently. We had a very specific way of heightened focus on customer service, and we wanted to do it that way and never deviate from that. And that's something that we've carried to this day. It's something that do it your way and do it the best way, but something that's true to you as well and genuine.
So you talked about the surrounding ourselves with, I'm going to use the word like-minded individuals, folks that we can learn from, folks that we can contribute to. So this is kind of a two-part question. Would you have done this business if your neighbor didn't fully participate with you? And then the second part of that question is, how do you know when someone is transparent and genuine and someone you want to spend time with and build something with, a life with, a business with? So would you have done it? And how do you know when it's the right people?
I would have done it, but I'm so glad I did it with Leslie. And I'm so glad because we are two very different people, but we share very common values. And that is what allowed us to build this business. We definitely have sometimes approached things differently, but I think that's good. We complemented one another, but at the core, we had the same fundamentals of that customer service, going above and beyond, taking good care of the people who work with us. Those are things that you have to have in place. You have to. So do you always know? No, in fact, it was probably a bit of a risk that we started this business together. We didn't know each other that well. I had moved in not too long before that. And, I was working my corporate job. She was working her job. And we were friendly neighbors, but we certainly had never worked together. And you kind of have to take a little bit of a leap of faith. And especially when you go into business with each other, I mean, that can go one of two ways very clearly. And, we definitely had some push and pull at times just because we do approach things differently, but we were always hyper focused on what our goal was with building a business. And I feel very grateful and fortunate that we did it together. Absolutely.
That was an interesting question, Rebecca.
Yeah, I've never been asked that. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
really interesting.
Well, it made me think, Tracy and Amy, that a lot of times, we just pick someone as a friend. We're not calculated about it. And there's a saying about we become what the top 5 people we spend time with. And we also emit a certain amount of our belief systems, our energy, whatever, that it makes you wonder if you and Leslie kind of were drawn to each other and intuitively might have just known. I don't know if either of you've had that experience, but I have in a couple of situations that we were vibrationally the same, let's call it, and then you realize it's because our values are so similar.
Well, Leslie always shares this story. It's very ironic how we ended up. I had moved to Virginia from California, and she was already living there with her husband. And the first time my mom came to visit and she met Leslie and they started talking, Leslie's husband went to school at Ohio State, and I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. And when she was in Ohio several years back, she was working for a doctor's office, and she and my mom started talking about it. She was working for the doctor who actually delivered me. So how random is that? Not having any idea of anything. So I sometimes feel like people come into your life for a reason. I think you take certain paths for a reason, not to get all philosophical, but I do think sometimes people connect. And I think in our case, we were just very lucky to have that connection and to start Woofie is something I think that is very special. I'm obviously biased, but.
It's so interesting. So once the two of you found out that you had similar values and the same passion, did everything take a while to come together, or did it all happen fast?
It did not happen fast. And I talk about this with franchise candidates because again, it kind of goes to one of the core benefits of being part of a franchise. This was 20 years ago when the pet industry was a lot less mature, a lot less known about it. And we didn't have anybody giving us a playbook, giving us an operations manual, or giving us the marketing and operations support of how to run the business. I mean, a lot of it truly was in those early days, trial and error. So it definitely was a slow grow. As far as building the business, the opportunity was there, the demand was there, but creating that true business culture, I think, took a little bit of time. And that's something that I do like about franchising is you don't have to start from scratch and try to figure out, do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? And also having that big support system, I think is a very big deal. And we just didn't have that. We had each other.
Yay for franchising, right? It's an amazing way to build a business and to have those mentors and to have those systems,
Absolutely.
that kind of experience. Amy, was there ever like a moment in your life that I would consider like a pivotal moment, something that happened that changed your view on the world, or had you learn a big lesson? Anything you would consider pivotal?
I would say in my last corporate job, I just came to a very clear realization that I wanted to do my own business. And I wanted to create my own culture. I wanted to surround myself with people that I selected and that I wanted to be with, and something that I cared about. It was that last position that truly, it was very clear to me. You know, I wasn't sure 100% where it was going to go when we first opened and started on day one. But I knew that in my heart, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew it was time. I was 32 at the time, dating myself. But it was a very clear cut. I quit my corporate job, 6-figure salary, all the benefits, everything. And I was done. I was ready to move forward, wherever it went, but I was not going to let it fail.
If you were to say that you had a purpose or a calling for your life right now, what would it be?
It's this business. Absolutely. I was not fortunate to have children of my own, and I always call Woofies my baby. And to have some type of legacy, and to think that there are Woofies locations opening up nationwide with really incredible owners who are part of that community and building something special and building a career for themselves and other people. I personally can't think of a better legacy. So for me, that's very special to me.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So legacy is super important to you, and you consciously went about to create it, right? So when you see someone that doesn't look at the future the way you do, meaning to them it's just about making money. It's not about changing lives and helping pets. It's just, I want to take a check to the bank, and the pet business is a great business to do that. It sounds like that person would not be a cultural fit for you.
I would tell them it was nice to meet you and I wish you the best. And there are other concepts you need to go look at. It's not Woofies is not for you.
So it's so beautiful, because it really is purpose combined with passion that is necessary. You also mentioned this idea of community. So what do you do with your franchisees that nurtures, fosters, creates that sense of community?
Well, it's something that we talk about from day one. When the candidates go through the process of evaluating the Woofie's opportunity, you know, we talk a lot about how this business is really, you are part of the local community and the importance of giving back. Now, it's not in the FDD. It's not a requirement that you must go to the shelter once a month and donate free baths and grooming appointments. But what's really interesting is our owners have all embraced that. And of course, we are not a nonprofit, right? We're here to build a business, but everybody really shares that overall value within Woofie's of the importance of giving back. And when you have a grooming van, it opens up so many opportunities, because you can go to a shelter and you can do free baths and grooms for those dogs who are trying to get adopted. And it's something that is just so rewarding to be able to do that. It's building a business, but you're also doing something really good. And for the owners that we have, I mean, that's something that's just kind of natural. So I think that, you know, I would never put that on as a requirement. If I have to require you to do that, it's not genuine. So I like that people naturally want to do that.
Sounds like it's a company filled with very good-hearted people.
It is. It really is. It's they're great. I feel very honored that we have the owners that we have. You know, we talk about it. We look at it as a partnership. We're in this together. I want to see each of them very successful. I want to see them build these great businesses in our community. I want them to love what they do. And yes, building a business is hard. I mean, you're always going to have challenges. I'm not saying every day is rainbows and unicorns, but with any business, I mean, you're always going to have your challenges, but you know, when you can do something that you do love and you can feel good at the end of the day, you know, whether it's giving back to the shelter or simply a client telling you, you know what, thank you so much. Because of you, my husband and I can go away on vacation and not worry about our dogs or cats or whoever we're taking care of. And that's wonderful to me. Like that to me, I feel really good. And it feels very rewarding when a customer tells you that.
Oh, that is warm-hearted. So looking from outside in, if someone was to describe you in 3 adjectives,
Oh gosh.
what would your franchisee say? What would your husband say? What would your friends in your community say? Amy is this and this and this.
Passionate.
For sure. That one we got.
Yeah. Driven. Dedicated. Very dedicated, loyal, dedicated.
Is dedicated and loyal the same? You think they go hand in glove?
Not always. So I'm going to add a 4th, dedicated and loyal.
Do it.
And I hope people that know me that they would agree with that. I guess it's always hard to self-reflect and describe yourself, but that's how I hope that my family, my friends, the franchise family, I hope that's what they see.
You know, I think with any business, it's important to be passionate, driven, and dedicated, but even more so when you're dealing with animals.
Yeah.
Animals that
They depend on us.
And they depend on us, even so when you're dealing with them. That's
absolutely
beautiful.
So true. All right, I'm going to throw a weird one at you because it's been niggling at me ever since this is a pun, but bear with me. It will tell me a lot about you and it'll tell our listeners a lot about you. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Get it? Pet peeve.
Oh, look at our baby.
Carlos. I have Pablo and Carlos, and then Bogey, who's not here. My biggest pet peeve.
So cute.
So yeah, can you hear them barking? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's great. We're talking Woofies.
My biggest pet peeve is lack of transparency. I am an open book, good or bad. I'm very direct. Sorry, it's feeding time here. I am very direct, and that's very important to me because that's where trust comes from. Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve.
I can feel it as you're saying it. I can feel it, Amy. And I've been in business situation, personal situation where someone wasn't transparent, and oftentimes it felt dishonest. That may not have been how they meant it, but it felt dishonest, and it made it hard for me to trust them, to connect with them on a heart level. And I know some people are more closed, right? Meaning they're not as open, and like you said, as you are with an open book. But there is something very beautiful about transparency that allows us to have that community that you're talking about, where we can see each other and hear each other and love each other as is, without any kind of fluff around it. So
you gotta take the good with the bad with everybody, and the good times, the hard times, the challenges, the wins, and you have to just be very open about everything. That's the only way to be.
Yeah. So we have a few more minutes, and I want to hear about the future. What is your future, and what is Woofie's future?
For Woofies, I really want to continue seeing amazing new owners coming on board as we build our brand that benefits all of our owners. But I want to grow responsibly and do it with the right people who will elevate the brand. And so that's something, is very important to me. Where I also see Woofie's is continuing to elevate the Woofie's brand itself. I want it to be the company that people trust. When they have a pet, they know Woofie's, whether they're in Kansas City or Rochester or Orlando. They know what Woofie's is all about. They know it's the premium service. It's the company that's going to go above and beyond. It's the company that is in your local community, not some big corporate, formal entity. So I think that's very important. And also, I really love to see, and I want Woofie's to be a key part of the pet industry. It continues to evolve. It's growing. It's a massive industry. And I want Woofie's to be a key part of that, and people to know and trust the brand. It's from bringing on great owners. It's continuing to make our Woofie's service a great service for our franchise owners to offer to their customers. It's aligning ourselves with strategic partners who are aligned with our values and our culture. I just think there's so many areas that we can move this business forward, and I think you always have to evolve. You can't be complacent and comfortable with where you are. I think Woofie's is a great brand, but I always want to make it better. What can we do to make this a better service, a better franchise for our owners, a better opportunity for people who work at Woofie's? I think that's something that you always have to strive for. So I guess we're circling back to my competitive angle here. Didn't plan to, but I want Woofie's to be the best. I want it to be a great brand and a very trusted brand.
Beautiful. So, final question. How do people get hold of you? How do they learn more about Woofie's?
You can go to woofies.com for those who would love to use our service or work for Woofie's. And for those who would be interested in having their own Woofie's, you could go to ownawoofies.com.
Perfect. Amy, I want to thank you for carving out time. I know we asked for a lot of time for a busy CEO and founder, so we really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your heart.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to talk with you guys, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And Tracy, I'm going to let you close it up for us. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, I've got such a sense of peacefulness, from this interview. I honestly, Amy, I find you to be so approachable, and I can imagine that most people and most of your franchisees do find you to be approachable. You strike me as being a great leader, like understated yet powerful, right? You believe in your products and your people. You strike me as very integrity driven and very heartfelt. And I love what you said about not being complacent, because complacency is such a pet peeve of mine. Overall, it's like just the belief that you have in your people and products that just elevates the belief that people have in you. And I commend you for what you've built. Incredible. The story is great. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm glad to know that we're neighbors. So hopefully we can meet up in person.
Yeah, you have to get together.
I know.
Tracy's a doggy lover. How many do you have? 4 doggies.
Well, you need Woofie's. There you go.
Please.
That's my kind of house. You can never have enough dogs. Dogs, cats, love it all.
So much love.
I love it.
Adorable. Again, thank you, Amy, and thank you to those listening in today to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. Make sure to comment and share Amy Addington's interview with those you know that will be blessed by it, and we'll see you next week on another episode.